Good evening everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are going to be taking a very typical, your bog standard London bus and we're going to be making it into a tiny home. Now I am super excited for this. I would do this in real life. I think it would be so cool to just have a tiny house inside of a regular bus. You also have the 2 levels to it, so we have enough space to be able to add everything that we want to into it to make it a proper home that you could live in. If you don't know what the typical London bus looks like, obviously you did see it in the thumbnail, but I'm going to post it again here so that you can see it. Now it's obviously just this big red bus, double-decker style, and it's going to give us enough space I think to be able to make a decent house out of this. I'm going to be using this lot here so that we have enough space. I also want to just put a little road going all the way through it so that we can actually put our bus onto a road, and I think it should look pretty good. So let's crack on with doing that today. So I'm going to start by just laying out our groundwork. So we're going to make this into a little road. We're actually going to be using Waterside Warble, which is the karaoke bar out of the City Living expansion, just because I think this one looks kind of the nicest, and obviously London being a very big city, we're going to try and stick with that kind of vibe of where these big buses are from. So we're going to use the sidewalk slabs and just kind of build up around it. I think I want to do, obviously, I guess the idea is that we're doing like a road that drives through. Obviously the road wouldn't really go over this side. I'm half tempted to actually do the whole thing on an angle, but I think that's going to then mess up where we're going to put our stairs to go up, so we'll stick without the angle, I think. So I think what we're gonna do, we could do it as a bit of a corner, so it's like a cut through for this road that's here. So what I'm thinking is that we actually do all of that, then do it over here, and it kind of cuts in like this. So you drive, but obviously there is a lamp post there, so maybe we need to bring it a little bit further over, but how's that? That doesn't look too bad. I think it's slightly too long though, so if we did it like that maybe? I'm thinking we can probably do like a little bit of a corner as well. We did just a little one this. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. It might be a bit too big for our road, but I think it kind of matches this road we've got over here. Then we can add in our road, which is just going to go all the way around here. And obviously we can put something over here as well. I don't really know what I want to add. I might just add like some little planters or something in there. We've now got to try and work out doing our actual road, which I think is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to try and see if I can match any of the road that we've got over here, which appears to just be bricks. So let's see if we can get that same kind of brick. It looks like it's like sort of this, but I'm worried that might be a bit dark. But let's add that in for now, and then obviously we can change it afterwards. So do you think that looks kind of all right? I think I want to add like an edge going around the entire thing though, because it looks a little bit funny. So I'm going to see if I can work out some kind of way to do that without it looking a bit too odd. I think a full square is a bit too much. If we use some kind of fencing, it might work though. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that being my road. It looks, yeah, it looks pretty much as close as I'm going to be able to get it, I think, without downloading a bunch of mods and things. Obviously it's a little bit weird just having a random road in the middle, but I think that that's kind of as close as I'm going to get it. I'm then going to add just some random plants and things in here, but I'll skip that bit for you guys because obviously what you're mainly here to see is obviously the bus. There we go. So I've just added a couple of bits. We've got a section over here where you can paint from the City Living. Obviously I've added some benches, and we've got our 2 little tree sections down here as well. I've also added some lamps that are obviously in this world as well, so that it makes a bit more sense. So now we can go ahead and finally make our bus, which I'm going to add here along this longer side. So this is the bit that's going to take a little bit of working to try and make it look as realistic as possible. Obviously there are a few different double-decker bus sort of designs that you can do. Some of them have a door like in the middle of the bus. I'm going to go with a typical one where we've got 2 separate doors that you can enter. One's at far end where we've got the stairs that also lead upstairs, and we've got another one obviously right at the front where the driver is. This is now where we find out whether or not I've done this wide enough, which I am a little bit worried about. Obviously this is as wide as we can go really. We want to make sure we have space on both of these side sections as well. I'm half tempted to actually cut it in half a little bit, but let's just stick it down first. Obviously this, I said it was going to be quite a small house, but from the looks of it, this might not actually be that small in the end. What I'm thinking is we can do something a bit like this. I think that's probably a pretty good size range. Obviously we want it on the smallest, I guess. I am going to raise it up a little bit as well, I think, which I think is kind of needed, but I'm not going to raise it much, probably just like that much, so that it does look like it's raised off the ground a bit. There is obviously another way that we can do this floating thing, which I think I'm actually going to do that instead. And the way to do that, obviously we'll get rid of the foundation. I'm then going to raise the whole thing up. We're going to copy this and just place it on top. I'm then just going to literally remove this. We can then just drag the entire thing down. And then as you can see, it is now floating slightly above of ground. I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to do the wheels, but we'll work that out in a second. I just want to get the basic shape down first, so let's raise it out a little bit. I think I am tempted to actually move it a little bit further over so it's more like this, so that then we can add in some floor. I mean, like some little steps that'll like lead us out of the actual bus, and I think that'll make it look a little bit more realistic. Obviously this is a double decker, so let's add another one on top. We obviously need to shape it a little bit as well. This I think is going to be the slightly difficult part to do, but we'll see how realistic we can actually make it. I might end up having to use like roofs or something, but I think let's work out our stairs and things first. So far this house is actually looking like it's going to be pretty like sizable. I think we should be able to fit a couple of bedrooms there. So if we do our doors first, I guess we've got our one right at the front of it here, and then we've got another one right at this back section. I'm going to remove both of those and we can add some steps in. I think these sort of metal looking ones are probably the best ones. We do obviously have these ones as well. Let's have a look how they look. I'm trying to find ones that look like they could fold up into the actual bus. I feel like these ones are probably a little bit better. Then obviously we need two sort of swinging style glass doors. I think I'm going to use these ones. They look sort of the most plain looking. The rest of them have too many pet on them. Obviously we got to check our stairs as well. So the stairs we're going to be using are going to curve around corner a little bit as we reach upstairs. These ones can be a bit more solid, so I am thinking about going with these kind of stairs. I'm going to place them here first so that we can turn them around. I want it to be longer, I think, on this side. Let's see if this fits so far though. We might actually be able to do it inside. So if we were to turn it around like this, we can then fit them in this corner. I think I can have it be a little bit longer on this side. Something a bit more like this feels a bit more like those double S's. Obviously if it had a corner, like sort of a nice curve, that would be a lot more realistic, but sadly we can't do that in The Sims. And then they do typically have sort of yellow or like grey handles going all the way up, like as a banister. So let's see if we can get the yellow ones. I think we can. Yeah, these ones. So we'll go with those because they're a bit more typical to the red double-decker buses. For our wheels, obviously we're going to have one big one, like we're going to have four obviously, but we're going to have two big ones at the front there, and then we're going to have another one back here just before you get to these steps over here. So I have no idea what I am going to do for these wheels. Let's see if there's anything in decorations that looks like a wheel in any way. If I type in wheel, do we get anything? So obviously we've got these type of things, but these aren't really the wheels that we would obviously have on a bus. There is something in debug that might work, but I would have needed to place that down first, so we're going to have to move everything if we do want to use that. So here's the item from debug that I was thinking. This one is a little bit more like a van though, I feel. So if you were doing a van, I think it would be perfect, but the wheels just aren't good enough, I think, for this. We would need it to have like one wheel like it has at front. So sadly, I don't think this one is going to work. I don't think that there are any other wheels in debug either, just from having a quick look. But I am also just trying to see if I can find anything that's even slightly wheel shaped, and then that would obviously work. I think what's really funny is going through all of these items in debug, I found a red double-decker bus, which is pretty hilarious. But obviously we're making this all from scratch, so I'm not going to use that. I did find this thing, which is basically a wheel, but it just looks a bit different. I'm gonna add 4 of these down just in case I can't find anything else. It doesn't look super correct, but I'm wondering whether I could edit it a bit to make it look a bit better. I'm gonna keep checking to see if there's anything else that works a little bit nicer and looks a bit more modern. So what I think I'm going to do is we'll use these wheels, but I'm going to try and make a circle just here so that we can then, I guess, kind of place it there, like in the way. In actual double-decker buses, these areas tend to be a bit raised, so I'm thinking about just raising them up a little bit. And this is normally where you could like put your bag or something when you're actually on the bus. So what I'm thinking is that we could use something like this directly behind the wheel, and then that will basically make our wheel. So I think I'm going to use the thermostat just because I think that looks a little bit less strange. There we go. So now we have all of our wheels. We can then go in and I think I'm going to do the color next, just that we have an idea of what kind of thing we're doing here. I want to have obviously that bright red. We do have quite a few different ones to choose from. I do kind of like this one. Is there a one that's like a bit brighter though? Maybe there is this one. I think let's go with this one. This looks like about the right shade. Then obviously now the difficult part, we're going to try and work out the front of our bus, which I feel like it's going to be really difficult to do just because they are obviously very unique shapes. From the looks of it, the person who drives the bus is actually at the front here, right next to where the first steps are. So we'll start, I guess, by building his little section he sits in, which is just very small like that, I think. Obviously, it is quite a small area anyway, so I guess that kind of makes sense. An issue now that I'm seeing is that we haven't actually gone symmetrical with this entire bus, so I don't know if that's going to cause problems. I was thinking it could do some kind of shape like, I think that is actually about right though. So let's get rid of this. I think the issue that I'm going to have is making it curved, which obviously I don't really know how we're going to go about doing that. I think I'm going to have to basically remove this section. We might have to do something with like a curved roof to get it to be like the right shape. Let's see if we're able to do that. So obviously if we used this kind of roof, then we can bring it back obviously to just that one square and then just make it as curved as remove all edges. I think that's probably going to look all right. Then we can get rid of this section. I am actually tempted to bring the whole thing over so that it's more like this, but I can't tell if that just looks a bit odd. Maybe we need to change the color first. Hopefully they have a good red color. I think it's going to have to be something like this, which actually isn't too bad, or this one, which is a bit worse. So we're going to have to go with that one. I'm still tempted to just chop that section, but I don't really know how that's going to affect where the driver's going to sit. I think I'm going to pull the whole thing back. We're just going to have it be one square, and then I will cut this bit. There is this very strange section at the front of these buses that is basically like put in here so that I'm guessing it has more of the hood section of the vehicle. So what I think I'll have to do is basically just cut this off somewhere and then re-add that section back in, I guess here, and just pull the whole thing back. But I don't know whether that's going to then look really strange. We might be able to fiddle around and make it all right. So if we remove this from the front and then maybe raise all of this up so that it's the same height. A lot of the big double-decker buses also have this big white trim going all the way around it, so I'm going to include that as well. I think that it's actually getting to looking a little bit more like a actual double-decker bus. I do need to include the lights and some fixtures onto the front though. I'm going to use this thing for our grill, and then obviously we need some lights. I'm definitely going to be using these ones because these look exactly like the ones you have on a double-decker. Now that we've finally done those bits, we can move on to doing our windows. We're almost finished making this double-decker bus. We do obviously have some screens and stuff up here as well, normally that tell you like where the bus is actually going, but I will sort those out in a second. For now, we need to find our windows for all of the sides. So for this, they just need to be rectangular, sort of similar to this, but without a line in the middle. It's just supposed to be one glass panel. I feel like I do a lot of builds that are just one glass panel, and for some reason, there is like barely any windows that actually have only like the one panel with minimal frame around it. So it might be quite difficult to find this. We do have something like this, which kind of works, but it's a little bit too big. This would be pretty good if it was bigger. These ones I'm kind of looking at just because they do have the red and they are basically the exact right shape. I just wish it didn't have that sort of silver bit that goes all the way around the outside of it. But I think we may have to settle on that one because all of the other ones just have too many frames in them. Then we can go ahead and place them so there is just a little gap between each one. It is supposed to go all the way to the end of the bus as well, so just got to double check that they fit all the way to the end. Okay, so that does look like it's actually pretty perfect. Then obviously we do have windows at the back of the bus as well, and normally this is like one large window, so I might have a look at those in a second after we've added the other ones in. There's still really not that many that don't have these extra sort of windows in there, so I think we might just have to go with the same window, which is a bit annoying, but I guess we need something there, so this one kind of bad. And we'll just do like one at the end. Then, so at the front of the bus now, we do have a little window here just for the driver to be able to look out. This one does actually split off 2 frames, so I wonder whether we can get something that looks better. And ideally, it'd be one that can kind of curve around this section here, which might be a little bit difficult to find. Something like this does kind of work, but it won't curve. What we could do is actually do this though and see whether that looks odd. To be fair, that doesn't actually look too bad. I kind of like that. There are actually windows as well at the top of the buses, so we can add an additional probably one in here, just right at the front. And then we need our tech things down here that tells us where we're going. We do actually have another window here right at the front as well, so we can add another one of these over. I think that's looking pretty good actually. Let's do the numbers of the bus, so I'm going to go with this one for that. I did also see some other random thing that looked like you could include it on a bus. Actually, this looks a little bit better because it's actually got an outline around it, so we'll use this over here. Then I found this, which also kind of works, and I was thinking about just putting that like here. I think that does look pretty realistic actually. Then just as a final thing, we need to do our roof, which I was thinking of honestly just doing the whole thing red, but I think it would be better if it was a little bit more rounded. So let's see if we can do something like that. Obviously the issue is that we have made this whole thing have these corners, which will make it a little bit difficult to do that. I think what we're going to have to do is just do it like this and leave this front part, but I'm going to see how that looks first because I'm worried it's going to look really strange. Okay, so I've actually just raised all of it up by 1, and we still have the roof there, but this time it connects up a little bit better. And that way now when we place this, it should kind of look like it just glides onto it, which I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's our bus pretty much done. We can then finally move on to actually doing decorating on the inside. So I'm going to start just by adding in our little flooring on these steps that lead in. I think I'm just going to use like a dark sort of concrete color, something like this, and then we can move inside. So obviously it is a very weird shape on the inside, but we were expecting that. I'm going to actually start over here, and we're going to start with our driver's seat, which is going to be the bit that's going to be a bit difficult to do, especially because we do have this roof that is now here. Weirdly, when we put this section in, the roof isn't there, but then when we delete it, it is. So that's very strange, and I'm not too sure why it's actually doing. But an alternative that I'm going to try is actually just doing a half wall, because I think it's just being a little glitchy. But if we replace it with this, okay, that's still there. That is very strange. So obviously this section anyway would normally be a little bit covered so that you can actually like walk in, I guess, to this little area where you're going to be driving. So we'll separate this whole section off like this. I'm going to raise this bit up so it matches the other bit. And I guess you would also have steps, I guess, that lead you to that driver section. So I'll add those here. Okay, so I've resolved the glitch sort of just by adding in this little doorway here, which allows us to at least see into here. It's a little bit annoying and a little bit glitchy still, but it's as close, I guess, as we're going to be able to get to fixing it. Then the idea I had is that up here is where you're obviously going to be driving. So we can add in maybe like a little table or something, and then we can add in some controls that obviously we can use, I guess, to drive. So I added this little corner thing in, as we obviously do have this little edge here that is really difficult. We needed some kind of triangular like surface to be able to put in here, so that works pretty well. I'm then gonna change our color scheme a little bit. I added a light in as well. I'm gonna just add a small one in here. We'll make it really tiny just so that it is still lit up. I'm thinking of going with more silvery tones in this area, as obviously this is the bit where you're going to be driving. You can do something a bit more plain. I think even just white is fine, but let's go with maybe a slightly darker color. Actually, white looks pretty good. Let's go with white. We'll do white in here as well. I think we'll go with this darker color though, floor. Again, I think that's looking, I mean, it looks a little bit odd, but like, I think it's not looking too bad. We need to obviously add in our tech and things that allows us to actually drive. That's the part that I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna do. The only thing I can really think is that, again, we take this wheel thing, but it's not actually a wheel that you could use to drive. I'm actually thinking of just using something really random like this thing in order to use it as a wheel. If we just make it a little bit smaller and raise it up, it does have this weird thing on the far side of it that I think makes it look a bit strange. Something like this also kind of works because it's not actually a wheel, but obviously it's something that I guess you could use to sort of drive. We could also just use the thermostat again as a wheel. If I raise that up, it actually does look a little bit more like a wheel. We do just need something, I guess, that's attached onto it. Something like this kind of works. I mean, it works close enough. And then obviously that's our dashboard over here. We can then grab our chair and just place it here. I feel like this kind of looks like a luxurious chair you'd get in like a big bus or like a caravan or something. Yeah, that looks about right. I don't think you could actually sit in it, but I think that it works for the idea. I guess it was actually fairly difficult to get that to look good. It doesn't even look that great, but I think we're gonna have to deal with that as our sort of driving point for this bus. We can now go ahead and do the rest of it, which should be a little bit easier just because that part was so glitchy. Yes, we can start by adding in some lights. I'm just gonna add these basic looking ones all the way across here, and we'll do the same upstairs. I do need to work out where I'm actually placing everything upstairs because obviously we do need a bathroom somewhere, which I feel like might be quite difficult to fit in. I am thinking obviously that we could put it near the front or the back. We can obviously put some curtains on there as well for some privacy too. Thinking what we could do is actually split off this area as our little entrance way, but where we've placed all of these windows is actually really horrible because it kind of cuts into a lot of this. Alternatively, we could split it down this way, which I think that does look a little bit better, or just literally right where the stairs are, which I think we may end up having to do that. We can then cut a little section in here. Bit difficult because of where we've put all of these windows, but I guess we're just gonna have to deal with that random little square that's there. And this can go all the way down to say here. I might push it actually a little bit further up just because then that'll allow us to have an extra room, I think, if we do it to here. We can then have a bedroom right at the bottom here, which we could make quite big. I guess that could be like the master bedroom. This can be our toilet, and then we have another bedroom at the end there. We're gonna have to add some additional lighting down the hallway as well because it's very dark at the moment. I mean, that looks pretty good. You do get a very good amount of space up there as well for bedrooms. So let's head on downstairs again, and I'm gonna start with down here. So obviously we have 2 entrances, and down here I guess we're gonna want to put a kitchen, a dining area, and I guess also a living area. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to like, share and subscribe. And we do have these horrible sections where there are like the wheels outside. So we're going to have to kind of work out how to adapt those into it. We could also just put kitchen cabinets there and then just have those be covering where the wheel is. I think that's probably a pretty good idea. So let's lower this back down and we can put kitchen cabinets maybe all the way across this side in here. As you can see, we do have a wheel poking through, which is what would happen in real life anyway. You would need a space to be able to put that wheel. We're going to have our fridge go here just because that's the only space that we really have for it. I think I am going to stick with British flag colours just because I think that would be kind of a good nod to the actual double-decker bus from London, and we'll go with a bit more of like a sort of clean design. So I think majority will go with this red and white, and then obviously we can add in some maybe accents of dark blue. I think if we put our oven at the end here, we can then put an extractor here in the corner. Yeah, we'll put the extractor fan like there. Does that look a bit weird? Maybe better to not have an extractor. I guess you could just have the extractor fan like there if we put the oven in this section here. Yeah, that looks all right. Doesn't mean that you're extracting out the side of the bus, but I guess we're gonna have to deal with that. Then go with a nice white color as well all the way through the bus, same as we did with the driver's area. We'll change up the bedrooms though, potentially. So far we have a quite decent amount of space in this bus. I was thinking it would be a little bit smaller. I do want to make this feel slightly lived in, so we're going to put these sort of cluttered dishes and stuff next to the sink. Put some kitchen roll there as well. I was thinking about putting shelves up here, but I do actually prefer this sort of slightly cleaner look. Added some blue and white aprons over there. I'm going to see if we can get a pot in a blue plant pot so that hopefully that'll make it a tie-in a little bit better. We do actually have these slightly dark bluey coloured flowers, which I think are quite nice, but I don't know if they really fit. We do have these little ones. Those are quite cute, I think. Yeah, gonna go with those because that's the only one that really stands out for on top of there that has like such a dark pot. We can then move on to the other side where we're gonna have to do a dining area and a living area. I'm actually thinking what we could do is add a wall and split the whole thing off so that then we have another wall to put a TV on. If we split it around here, maybe the only issue is that obviously we do have this weird window issue. I wonder if we did it like this, whether that looks all right, then gives us a nice little curve. How does that look? That doesn't look too bad. I'm actually wondering whether we could maybe give us a bit more space on this side by changing around this section, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. If we were to somehow push this back, then maybe move the chair so that it's a little bit more this way. How does that look? I mean, the chair is like absolutely sticking out. I may have to pick a different chair. I wonder whether the chair is the problem. If we maybe added in an additional wall here, we can then sort of fiddle around with it and try and fix it. We may have to get a different chair, to be honest. This does give us more space over here. This one actually, if it wasn't so wrecked, would actually be pretty perfect. Sadly, it's like from the wolf pack, so it does look pretty tatty. Wonder whether it might actually be better just to get something like this. How does that look? That actually looks fine. Yeah, that makes sense. I think we're gonna have to move everything over a little bit though. Something a bit more like that. Yeah, that works. Okay, perfect. Okay, so there's our driving area. That still looks pretty good, and now we have even more space over here now, which is perfect. I don't want to lose that open plan feel, so I'm gonna add a big open doorway here to take us through to each room. Yeah, add some pictures there now that we've got a bit more space, and then let's sort out our dining area, which we have a big dining area, to be fair. I'm gonna lower this, and what I think I'm gonna do is actually add a little shelf or something, or like a little table or something over here just to hide that wheel. I think something like this looks quite nice. Still need to work out our flooring and everything as well, which I'm probably gonna do now. I was originally thinking some kind of tile, but I feel like it's looking very like bright if I were to do something with white tile. I don't think that's probably the way that I want to go here. We could go with a little bit darker tile, go with a bit more modern. I think that looks a little bit better. Would like to incorporate that blue though, if I can. Let's see what we can get in blue. I do kind of like this, but it is the wrong blue. It needs to be that darker blue. Blue wood is also an option, but that is hideous. I mean, this blue wood though is actually not that bad. The issue is it doesn't perfectly go with our color scheme. It's not exactly the dark blue that I was thinking. To be honest, I think this one is actually the best one just because it is the most modern. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. I think that looks all right. So now we can go back to doing our dining area, which I'm gonna put the table and chairs here. We do have a blue and red table. It is one that's slightly raised up. I don't think it fully goes with what we're doing here. To be honest, a lot of the red ones don't really look like they fit. Let's see if we can get any that are good in blue. Okay, some of these are a little bit nicer, but again, the blue isn't just right. Do kind of like this one, and the yellow actually does somewhat work with the yellow banister that we've got over there, but it does look a little bit washed out. How does this one? It's a bit ugly, that one. I feel like we may end up having to go with a white table, which is a little bit disappointing, but there's just not enough table color options, I think. And we are going with something a little bit more modern, so something like this will work. The good thing is that we'll probably be able to find the right color scheme for our chairs, which is good. We can then add in dark chairs, I'm hoping, if we can get the blue color. There's quite a few that are in that similar color palette though, which is good. We just gotta find ones that fit with our sort of more modern color. I think this one's pretty, yeah, that is pretty perfect actually. Let's go with that. Then I'm just gonna bunch a little bit into this corner, but not too much. And we also have space here for a picture, which will be quite nice. I think if we can get a picture of a city, that would look really good because it would match with obviously where we are. Sadly, I'm not seeing any sort of city skylines that are in that kind of longer poster kind of size, so we might have to go with something else. I would say this is actually pretty perfect to the color palette that we're gone with, so let's go with this picture. We'll just stick it in the middle. Then I definitely feel like we need a lot more decorations around here, so I'm going to add some plants and things around. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. I think all the colors work quite well with that. We do have this little gap over here which to do with something in that corner, so let's have a look to see if there's anything that will go there. I was thinking some kind of like storagey thing again, but obviously we do have one there already. Alternatively, I am actually just tempted to add a bin in there just so that we do have one in the house, because otherwise you'd have to leave to go put all your stuff out in a different bin. It won't look super pretty, but it probably would be good to put one somewhere. If we add maybe this one here, we could even add in some pet bowls or something there if you had a pet. I'm not going to add them in at the minute just because obviously that's down to you whether you want to play this game with pets in it. So let's go over to our living area now, where what I'm actually going to do again is just raise this down, and then I think I'm going to do a corner sofa that comes around here, and then we can add a TV at the end. And I think I'm going to go maybe with this blue color. We do have a red one, and the red one does look pretty good. Obviously we could also just go with white, but then we don't have a lot of our color scheme in there. I think I'm going to go with the blue one, bring it around the corner here. Then I think I'm just going to loop it around at the end, and then we can add in our TV on this side. I am tempted to go with this one, but I don't know how that'll look. Let's have a look. Yeah, I actually do kind of like that. It gives us extra storage in that room as well. And then I am tempted to also add in a red rug just to make it feel a bit cozier. I do like this fluffy red one, so let's add that there. Just gonna have a quick look to see if there's any square ones, just because that would also look quite... We do, but they're all just kind of the wrong size. Yeah, I think we'll go with the nice little round one. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good for our living room. I don't really want to continue adding more because it'll start looking very cluttered. So that's our downstairs area complete. It is quite simplistic, but I think it does kind of bring in that modern look that it doesn't have like a massive amount of stuff there. So now we can move on upstairs to our living area. I think I'm just going to do a more plain floor all the way up here. Maybe even just like white wood going all the way up there. I do want to use this tiny little square that we've got here. I think I'm just going to put some plants in it. Do something a bit more modern as well, like this. I think that looks quite nice. I would like the bottom part to be filled though, which is kind of annoying because it's not filled with that. There's not a lot that are like that perfect square shape though. We have a few, but they just don't look as nice. So I think that looks pretty good over there. So then we can go through and add in all of our doors to our rooms. I was thinking we could actually, because we've got 3 doors, we could do all the 3 colors. So we'll do the white one for there. I want to try and find a door that's actually got all of those colors so we don't need to use different doors. I think it'll be a bit bit difficult to find one that's dark blue though, so let's try the blue first. Okay, we might have to try a few different doors, so we'll go with blue and we'll do that as our first room. I don't know if it's going to look weird having just a variety of doors though, so we'll have to see whether that just looks off. What can we get in red? And we can get like a normal looking door. Can we get any that look more modern? So we can get that same door, which is good. It doesn't have a white edge to it, but I don't think it looks too bad. And then we can just use a white one for that, which is fine. Does this come in white? It does. Perfect. So we can get all the same sort of doors at least. So then this will be our first room, which I'm thinking we do as a single room, and then this one could be a double. We could actually fit a double bed in here and it would be fine. So I might consider that, but I think it would be better to just have it as like a kid's room. Let's see if maybe we could go a bit further out, maybe do white carpet in the bedrooms if it's a bit of a stretch, and then we can kind of do something a bit more exciting with like the walls in them at least. So let's do white carpet in both of these, and then for the kids room, let's see if there's anything cute in a lot of colors. I think I'm gonna go with this one for the parents room just because it does have that red. We could actually also do it in blue, but I think that looks a bit cold. And for the kids room, I am tempted by this one just because it looks quite fun and playful. Then obviously for the bathroom, what can we do for that? So there is dark blue tile, which I'm probably going to use here. We could then just go with a plain white wall, to be honest, just to make it feel a bit cleaner. Then let's see if we can get quite a few things in like red, I guess, if we're trying to do that sort of similar color. I was thinking of this being like a kid's room that's like a child. I think that's probably a good age to aim for. So we could pick one of these bigger beds as well. And obviously we're still going with that sort of modern feel, so I've got to find something that's like at least modern. A lot of them have black on, which is really annoying. This one's quite nice actually. It's very simplistic. So maybe that one. Let's see if there's anything else. We do have this one actually that has the perfect color combination, so let's go with that. And I'll stick that in the corner there, and it's a kid's bed as well, so that's actually perfect. I might change the light to something a little bit more exciting as well, even if it's just something like slightly different. We could go with something like this, which is a bit nicer, but it's quite dark. I think if we keep the other light there, we can then just add this one on top and it shouldn't be a problem. And that also adds a nice sort of warmth to the room as well. Let's add a small little desk into this corner here. I think we can get like a little one-person desk. We'll go with this one maybe, but it's got wood on it, which isn't really the look we're going for. This one might work. It's a little bit rustic though. Can we get a cleaner one? Yeah, that one's a bit cleaner. So that one does kind of work. It's not that modern looking though. We could actually just get this one in white, which I think looks a bit better. I didn't originally plan on doing any of this modern, but I think because obviously the colors we wanted to go with, you can't combine those three colors and also wood, because I think you'd then be putting a bit too many colors into it and it just wouldn't look that great. So obviously give the kid a little PC so that he can do whatever he wants to it, pick up some stuff online. Let's grab some more little decorations. I do like this little moon lamp. I think it's absolutely adorable. It does have that wood color on there though, which is a bit annoying. I'm half tempted to change it out for something else, but I do think that it kind of fits with this room so far. We could actually do one of these instead, which is just like a little desk lamp. I think that probably works a little bit better. I might keep this and put it like next to the bed though. Let's grab him a little side table. If we can find one in red, that'd probably be better. This one kind of works, I think. It doesn't look particularly nice though. This one I think is a little bit nicer. So then we can just stick the lamp next to the bed there. I think we do need some pictures or something as well, just right next to the bed. We could actually go with something like this because I think these look really cute with this kind of wallpaper. We can then obviously move around. We do have a lot of space. I still need a wardrobe. Oh, actually, we need a chair as well for that desk that I completely forgot about. Go with something like this, maybe? Yeah, I think that works quite well. Then I do want some like sort of toys and things that we can put over here. And I do want like some play things that he can play with or whatever. And obviously we still need our drawers as well. This set of books I think goes quite well in the room too. So I'm going to add those just in this corner. Then let's add this sort of crafty table, and then maybe we can add the set of drawers just over on this side, and then I can add some toys and stuff as well on the floor. I think we could go with something a bit smaller. Something like this would probably work. Have we got anything else that's quite small maybe? Actually, this one would work too. Let's just add that like right next to there so it doesn't take too much space. Then we could grab a red dragon as well, a big plushie, and just stick that in the corner here. I think I might make it slightly smaller just because it is a little bit big. Then I'm just going to grab some various toys that we can scatter on the floor. There you go. I think that's quite a cute little room. It's got everything that we need in it. So let's move on to our bathroom next. I'm thinking we just have a bath right at the end here. We could actually, I think, if we move it there, could we have a maybe toilet, shower and sink and also a bath? I don't know whether we would have enough space for it. Let's have, so if we had the bath on this side, we could have the, no, we wouldn't really have enough space, but I think I might keep the door there anyway, because that'll allow us to then toilet and sink here without it being bunched up overhead. So we'll grab just a more modern toilet, I think, stick it there, grab our sink, do quite like this one just because it does have the red on it, and grab maybe a dark blue mirror. We'll go with this one because again, it's just more modern. I think we could actually have a quite large mirror as well on the other side, maybe a red one. We could put one here, although that does mean that when you're sitting on the toilet, that's all you see is your massive reflection in this mirror, so maybe not. We could just have some towels there instead, or actually we could go with some of these. Yeah, I think that works quite well. We'll do a couple, one in blue and one in red, then we can grab our bath at the end here, and I can't see any of them in this sort of dark color. Actually, we've got this one. Yeah, we'll go with that one. That kind of works. Then we'll just put a couple of towels at this side. I think this one maybe, or we could just do it in pure white. Yeah, we'll do it in pure white. I think it looks a little bit clean. I wish we had some plants in this room though. I wonder whether we could maybe add, yeah, we can add a little plant to the bottom of this bath there. I think that looks pretty nice. I think we would want curtain though in there just for a bit of privacy, and we'll just stick it at the end there. I quite like one. I feel like we probably need them in the kids' room as well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. The only thing that kind of annoys me is that if you put them there, then they do cover up the entire of the window, which I'm not biggest fan of. I wonder whether we could do it so that it's one strip and they meet in the middle here, but I think that might, if we did something like this here and here, nah, I think that would look a little bit odd. We'll leave it. I think it's fine. We only really need it in the bathroom. Then obviously we've got our big old master bedroom here, which is pretty big. So I'm thinking we have the bed over this side. We do have this one that's this dark sort of blue color, which would work quite well. I think blue would probably be a bit better in this because we've got the red walls. Let's see what else we've got in blue though. Do have this one which feels a little bit more adult, so that one might be a bit better. Or we've got this one which is like sort of from the Lux pack. I think I will go with this bed just because it's a bit more simplistic and plain, and it does kind of go with the more adult feel of. I think I'm just going to go with some white side tables as well. Do quite like these ones, and we'll go with one next to each side, although it does mean we're gonna have to move this a bit, but I think should fine. We just wiggle it maybe here, that'll kind of work. Then I think a lamp on one side and a plant on the other. Go with this lovely plant, and then we'll do a lamp on this side. Actually, we'll go with this one, which is a little bit of a combination of both. We need a picture behind them as well. I think this one's quite modern. We can't get it in a blue without having the green, so I think we will go with the red. Then if we spin round, we have a bit more space in here as well, so I'm thinking we have a set of drawers over here, and we could have a TV over. We do have a slight bit of glitching as well from all of the mess that is the driving area, so I think we're just gonna have to kind of deal with that just because it is right in corner. For our set of drawers, I think I'm gonna go with this one just because it looks a little bit more luxurious. We can't get that in blue, can we? We can, but it would have wood. Ah, that's so annoying. The wood always ruins it. Then we can add a little plant onto there as well. I think we can probably add a mirror into this corner. I don't really know whether I do actually want to add a TV in there. I think it looks fine without, but it does look pretty empty, so I don't know whether I do actually want to add something to this bottom end, because if we were going to add a TV, it would be a bit weird placement wise. Another option would actually be to have this vanity, which I think that actually looks quite nice, and we can still keep this mirror as well because it would be good to have a full length mirror as well as a little mirror there. And we can have this little red seat right at the end. I think we could go ahead and add in some little like bits of decoration and things too, and I think we could also add a rug into this room. Let's go with a blue rug this time. Actually not the biggest fan of this mirror now. I think I'm going to change it for a different one. As for a rug, I do actually quite like this one. It's a little bit darker, but I think it looks nicer with the patterning. Instead, I think I could just put a bookcase over. Maybe actually a more plain rug would look a little better, because I think there's a bit too much pattern going on. Something like this maybe. Yeah, that one actually looks quite nice. Then maybe a tall lamp as well over this side, or instead I guess we could do a bigger plant. That might work better. Yeah, I think that would be good. Okay, I think that's actually pretty good for the parents' room, so I think we're then done. So there is our London bus turned house complete. I really like this. I think it looks pretty realistic on the outside, especially given the restraints that we actually have in The Sims. I do wish that I'd managed to sort of of do the driver's seat a little bit better, as I think it looks a little bit funny. But I really like all the interior of the house as well. I think that it looks super modern, and I think all the colour combinations really bring that British feel. I think one of my favourite rooms is actually the kids' room, but I do like how big we managed to get the kitchen area as well. But let me know what you think of this build in the comments below. If you'd like to download this, you can download it on the gallery under Double Decker House, or my gallery ID is HextraHunt. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. I post both long form content as well as short form content. If you enjoyed this video, there is also another recommended video on the screen now, so check that one out too, and I hope you all have a great evening.